destructiveness of self. Therefore indeed, that the program is that of mind, change, alteration, that is return of peace in your concept, express, be, exist in that of a format of love. No, there is that not here, a difference in that of man, only in the culture.
Are there people living on other planets right now, or other galaxies?
Affirmative.
Could you tell us which one?
I'm Erin Hicks, and I'm here at the Super Soldier Summit 2013, and I'm here to tell my story. I'm a Rothschild Sinclair. I'm one of the only Rothschilds that's ever come out against what has happened to us.
What's the significance of a Rothschild Sinclair, just to make that
okay, there are two different of the ruling bloodlines. The Rothschilds are the ruling ones of the earth basically right now, and the Sinclairs were, the Rothschilds are the Lucifer bloodline. Sinclair is the Jesus bloodline, and they both went to Alsace-Lorraine, France, and from there I believe that's where they started co-conspiring together.
Are these alien reptilian shape-shifting families or what? What's the significance?
Yes, okay, with the Rothschilds, they're reptilians. Now...
These are Judaic.
Ashkenazi, I call them fake Jews.
Right, now this is important because the Judaic clan,
right,
we understand, were exiled. Mm-hmm. Not exiled, they screwed the last planet they had up.
Right. It's been proven the true Jewish bloodline is in Ethiopia. The true Jews are black Jews. So you've got those true Jews, and then you've got the Zionist Jews that are ruling the world, and those are the Ashkenazi Jews, you know, and that's the Rothschild bloodline. So they're just a wannabe Jew. You know, that's all they are, but they've played it very well because they've taken us all over. They've made this world.
So what's the significance of that? How have they done that? Because they're taking the world to hell in a handbasket.
Well, if I explain it to you, people might not really get it though.
Do your best.
They're under contract here to bring all of this evil and all of this bad to make us see the light. You can't have the light without shadows and darkness. So even though they're the fake Jews, you know, as I call them, they are under contract with God himself to help us see all of this light. But if you want to get down to the chosen ones, those are the ones that are in Ethiopia. You know, that's the actual Jewish bloodline right there.
But they're just keeping it quiet.
Right, because they're humble. They're humble. They have no need for power. Their power is within themselves, and they keep it as a peaceful existence for themselves. And they're a tribe. They're just a simple tribe in Africa. And they live simply. They don't need money. They don't need the things like cell phones or computers or anything. And they don't feel they need that kind of power. And so they're more godly than probably most of the people around on Earth. And the Rothschilds are very materialistic people, but they had to bring this materialistic existence to us so that we could see and live like the true Jews do, which is a humble, peaceful, very just loving existence. You know, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So how does this correspond to your the reason why you're here saying what you're saying?
I just think the Rothschilds need to step down. And I'm tired of my family doing this. I'm sick of it. I'm really sick of it. I don't like what my family's done. So I think we need to bring forth the true, I wouldn't say that maybe the Ethiopian, that Ethiopian tribe is the chosen one, but we need to have those chosen ones actually be shown to the world so the world can see how to actually live. We need to actually see how to be in this world. And God allowed them to have that kind of existence to carry on over the centuries and the thousands of years, so that and stay humble in this African group away from everybody, so they're not tainted. You know what I'm saying? We're all tainted. We're all.
In what way are we tainted? I mean,
with materialism.
The Catholic Church says we're all of original sin and all that.
Original sin's a farce. Sin's a farce in this world. All you are is here is for an experience. That's it. Sin was brought in as a control mechanism so that we could stay under the thumb of the Rothschilds. You know, David Rockefeller is actually on par with the Rothschilds too. So the Rothschilds rule the world, but then, like right here, the Rockefellers are like touching the very bottom of them. You know what I mean? So they're in on that part too. They're not as under the Rothschilds as people think they are. They're like right there.
So where does this bring us in terms of aliens, targeted individuals, and the super soldiers?
Okay. Well, yeah. Let me find my words here.
In other words, what brought you to this conference?
I think the awareness that people need to have.
And we need to be told what?
We need to grow our consciousness so we can stop it. If we don't grow our consciousness, we're going to destroy the world. You know, I know the endings that we can have. I know, I've been shown. It's very hard for me to explain. That's all the part of Project Ibis. We're encoded with this, and a lot of times our encoding, we can see it and we can envision it, but it's hard to put it into words. We can have an existence like so many other planets have had, where they've blown themselves up, where they've just literally imploded from the inside out. You know, they just, I should say exploded from the inside out. And actually my son, when he was, Johnny, was it about 15, 16 years old, when he saw he was taken to council?
Maybe he was 15.
Yeah. My son, who is also a super soldier, had his first conscious abduction experience in front of me and my husband, and it wasn't his body taken, but his soul was taken up, and they showed him basically a scenario that happened to a world that was just right by us, close.
But what was that? Because this is very significant, because a lot of the MASH witnesses who are being abducted, being shown a world of desolation and no life.
Yes, and it's that world right there. That's it. That world was just like us, and it was such a materialistic existence that all they did was just war after war after war. I want this country, and I want this oil, and I want this gold, and we need to keep this and this and this, and it was all, let me have this greed. And they weren't stepping outside of themselves, which all of us need to start doing this, is learn how to step outside of ourselves. And it's a difficult thing to do, because you need to learn how to pull your own soul out of your body, and you need to learn how to pull your own soul out of your body to be able to step back. And it's almost like you're a dual self, and you're yourself watching yourself. And we need to learn how to look at ourselves unbiased. We need to not judge ourselves. The thing is that we do so much judging of other people. When we judge other people, we judge ourselves first. And we need to stop the judgment, the greed, the hurt, the pain, the anger, all of this negativity that has been brought to us by the people like the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Collins, the Sinclairs, all of these. Yes, the Jesus bloodline brought pain and anger and suffering to the world because Jesus himself knew we needed it. We needed it, and because we were a suffering race at that time 2,000 years ago.
What about right now?
Oh, we're
What's the imminent situation?
Big trouble.
Yeah. We're in big trouble. That world imploded because of all of this greed. And my son was shown this, and they told him, You must spread the word of peace, true peace from the divineness of the universe. And it doesn't have to be the divineness of God. If you don't believe in God, that's fine. But we all have a divine nature that is encoded in all of our souls. It's not encoded in our blood, but or our bodies, because we shed these bodies. So that blood and that other stuff doesn't go with us. But it's encoded inside of our light being. And we have become such a dark being now that we don't know how to bring our light out. And so they were trying to tell my son that we need to start being the divine souls that we are. And if we don't...
How do we achieve that? What's the path that we need to...
Service to others. Absolute, complete service to others. Because when you're service to others, then you actually become, in a way, a little bit service to self, because you're helping yourself. You know, and it's not a bad service to self, because you're going out there and you're doing God's work. You know, I should say the universe's work. Let me clarify that. I'll start calling it that. You're doing the universe's work that was encoded into your light being. You know, I don't know how else to put it.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We'll take a little break.
Okay. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. I didn't say it in the conference, but yes, that's what all of us in Project Ibis are angels. We're not beings from here.
Now, this is something that James Casbold's mentioned quite a lot, Project Ibis and stuff like that. Is his version of what you're saying the same sort of thing?
Yes, but he's not going to tell you the full story. He's not allowed to.
Are you allowed to?
I probably shouldn't. But I've blabbed so much already that I'm in enough danger now, so it doesn't matter. My drive home is going to be so precarious, you know.
Why don't you just tell me about the whole Project Ibis thing? Nobody else will find out.
Everybody else.
Nobody.
Just you can tell me.
Okay. God put about 40-something, like, I think the number's 42, but you'd have to ask James Casbold to make sure.
In which
I don't.
case, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy does have a secret number, 42.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay, and we're all angels. Some of us, there's a few of them that are archangels. There's an archangel over and above all of us that walks the earth and walked into the summit. And you know who he was.
I do.
Well, yes, James Casbold is our leader.
Right.
He is the top archangel over all of us in Ibis. And that is why his presence is so mighty when he walks into any room. You know,
so when I start giving him a hard time and saying sarcastic things to him, so trying to be a bit sneaky, I'm playing with a bit of fire, do you think?
Yeah. But you got to understand, when archangels come to Earth, they do have some kind of density to them from the 3D world.
He mentioned that about in his interview on Basis 23, that there were so many certain clones, I think 42. There was sort of like 42 clones of him or whatever.
Yes. He's scattered around the world. He's scattered, and each of his clones know what they're doing. Soul cell memory, and because he's an archangel, they're all aware of each other, you know. But he's I let him know last night that I understand our hierarchy. I sat down next to him and I said, I understand our hierarchy and I honor it. And instead of looking at me like, oh my God, you're fucking crazy. I looked at him and I thought, I told him that, and then I thought, you know, he's going to look at me and think, you're crazy for saying that. But he looked at me and he goes, thank you. I acknowledged my boss, and my boss thanked me for it.
So how are we going to save ourselves?
How do we save ourselves? We bring our divine selves to the light.
Okay, well, the vast majority of the population of this planet really is just trying to earn a living, right?
Right, well...
How do they achieve this in real terms? And because we're all being blamed for driving motor cars and driving around using gasoline engines.
It's an experience. That's just an experience.
As if it's all our fault. I mean, we're conditioned this is the only way we can survive. Well, many would argue that. I mean, how do we solve this problem?
Well, I can tell you that in our hierarchy, we know that it doesn't matter about these cars. It doesn't matter about the emissions you really put out. It doesn't matter any of it, because those of us in these programs, we already neutralize these things in the universe for it. The Earth's atmosphere, we neutralize it. So that stuff, those issues don't really matter. They do to a certain extent. We need to have a clean place to live for our capsules. But in order to save Earth, we must learn to bring the light to ourselves. And I keep saying that because once we bring the light to ourselves, the elite do a 180. You get that 51% light on the Earth of people, you know, from the Earth people. If you have 51% light, then the whole Earth starts to become shining in light. And then therefore you're bringing this divine light from within yourself out to this world, and it can't help but do anything but enlighten even the least, most hellish people, you know? And they start climbing out of it, and they start saying, okay, we can't have this for our environment, and we can't have this for people, and we can't do this or that. We can't worry too much about the environment. And I mean, I know I'm going to get backlash for that right now, but we really have to work on our souls right now. Our souls, our soul.
Full soul integration. Soul integration into the body.
Right. We're all immortal. Like you guys are immortal in your souls. Those of us in IBIS are immortal of body and soul. You know, we keep the same capsule.
Well, I mean, there's a thing called soul catcher, you know, to replace us into machines. What about that?
They already do that. That's already been done. That's already been done a long time ago. A very long time ago.
When you're saying a very long time ago, thousands of years, eons?
At least a couple hundred years. At least.
What does this mean in real terms to ordinary people? That we are already in a false matrix in machines?
Well, yes, this is a computer program. This is just a holographic computer program. If you're, you know about the Tesseract, right? That we're inside of.
Well, explain that to somebody who doesn't.
Okay. The Tesseract is a divine sacred geometry that those of we all know from the other side of the Tesseract. So, and the Tesseract holds up the 4 pillars of life, and those pillars of life are what inject everything into the universe. It's a mathematical equation. Those pillars are full of math, full of numbers. And so you're full of numbers, you're full of numbers, you're full of numbers. All of us are full of numbers. We're made of numbers.
Does this describe what we would describe as our holographic image?
Yes, yes, absolutely. When you watch the Matrix movies and you see all those numbers running up and down, okay, those of us in IBIS can see all those numbers in you. If you could see that in us, because it's our angelic selves, so we know these things. We're taught to do this. So I see all your numbers, and I see everybody's numbers. I look at you, and all I see is numbers.
Now, something which a lot of people have been seeing. I've been seeing these spider devices, these creatures, like scuttlers. It's been suggested that these are the creatures of the Matrix.
Well, yeah, they're put in there to
keep the thing going, because they live on information. Or they seem to go.
Yeah, they feed off of everybody. You know, and that's why I say 51% light. You get these leeches and these suckers all to go away from you if you become more of a light being than a dense being. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So therefore, I mean, the term that I used in my presentation was reality management, something managing our reality.
That's absolutely the most perfect description I could ever hear.
Sheer genius. I just come up with these things, you know, roll off the top of my tongue. But if there seems to be a major threat to all this, which is going to collapse all this.
Yes, we'll collapse, but it doesn't matter. And I'll tell you why it doesn't matter, because you're still going to be alive if it collapses. You're going to just wake up in cryostasis.
What's the point in keeping things going? What's the point in striving?
Because this tesseract was built for our souls. Where we're at, we can't advance because we've become complacent. Our whole world there, I got ready to call it Earth, but our whole world there is nothing but bathed in light, and we've become so complacent that we don't know how to ascend. So it's become a real, it's a tragedy almost. And that tesseract is our school. People keep saying Earth is a school, Earth is a school. Well, the whole universe inside this tesseract is a school. And you got beings that are like me and Casbolt and Spears and the 42 of us that are in this world that are able to go in and out of this tesseract without any problem. I've been on the other side, and I've watched my body inside of cryostasis, and I stood in front of this window, and it was a big computer screen, and the tesseract was right there in front of me. And it's a swirling, just mass of just everything inside of it. You can see everything flowing inside of it. It's just a constant ebb and flow. And when you're looking at this tesseract and you see all of this flowing and flowing and flowing, you know exactly when something bad is happening, because there's a little like say the wave is going like this with everything inside of it. You'll see the wave going like this, and all of a sudden it'll go like this, or the wave will go like that. That means something bad has happened to that part, and that part is where they take people like Archangel Michael or Archangel Uriel. These are actually just very, very, very enlightened people who have made it to the top of their ascension, that are on the other side of the tesseract where we really are, and they know how to go in and out of this tesseract to help at the moment these blips happen. So if you're having something happen in your life, that's a blip, and they see it on the computer screen, and they say, okay, your archangel is Michael, so let's send Michael in to help her. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we're in. That's the hologram we're in, but it's for a reason, because our souls don't know how to bring the light out in with the darkness beside it. And you have to honor your darkness, and where we're at, we're not honoring our darkness anymore. We're only honoring the light. And so you have to honor your darkness in all of its beautiful glory, because your darkness is exactly what shows you the light, and it makes you so happy to understand, and you're fulfilled when you know both sides equally. You have both sides equally, and you have this tightrope you walk, and you know that if you know both sides equally, then when you falter to one side or the other, you're able to pull your vibration back to the middle. And that's what those of us in IBIS, that's what we're trying to help people understand. But it's going about wrong, because the third density has taken a hold of us. You know, it's like
explain the third density, and what does that actually mean? I mean, these
slowed vibration.
Densities, yeah.
It's a slowed vibration, and it's a very stifling vibration. It's a very, very, very stifling vibration. Very. But it's on purpose. We need it. We have to have it. We need to have this, or else we can't move on. There's no way to move on. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what exactly is the term super soldier? You mentioned your son.
That's a loaded title.
We are dealing with difficulties in language here. I think we find this out that frequencies, densities. I mean, the type of language we use doesn't really describe what's going on.
No, it doesn't. We're more like
a
warriors.
Super soldier implies to be a sort of an Arnold Schwarzenegger robot with.
Right. Okay. Super soldiers are some of the strongest souls on Earth, and our Prime Creator knew that. We're picked out from each universe we're at, and the Prime Creator knows exactly that our soul is so strong that they can beat us down as far as we can get and will not die. Some of us succumb because they didn't realize that was a weak soul. They acted strong, so they thought they were strong. But we're the strongest here, so we're out to help, and I'm starting to get scrambled. I'm very sorry. I'm talking so much that they're not liking this. So I'm losing my place. Can you re-say the question, please?
Like, what's the exact? I mean, an ordinary person would expect a super soldier to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, the big guy with the sort of laser beam eyes and the X-Men and all this.
No. That's so Hollywood.
So when somebody sees a super soldier summit, they're going to expect a whole pile of.
No, you got people like James
back.
Ring, who's the little guy, and he's a super soldier, but his soul is so incredibly strong that they don't use his body. They take his soul out and they put it in his cloned bodies to be able to use like that. And so you look at people like James or even me. I'm not this buff, soldier type. But a lot of us are used for our souls because our souls are so strong. So I like to call us warriors. I don't like to call us soldiers.
Yeah. So who are we fighting? What's the enemy if we're going to be a soldier? That's the soldier side of it. What's
our enemy is our own soul. That's it. It's our own soul.
That is to say, not ascending.
Right. Correct.
So we are here to
learn ascension.
To get everybody else to ascend.
Right. And that's why you have the super soldiers and the ones that are in IBIS and stuff, because we've, especially IBIS, because we're put from parallel universe to parallel universe over and over and over. We've lived millions of years. We've not been turned off. We've only just been slowed down and stuck in cryostasis for a while until we're needed, until we're put into the family in the point in time we need. And we have to help the world. We have to. We need to stop.
The world itself, the planet, seems to be reacting.
Yes.
I mean, we were talking about this black goo, this life force that's coming.
Right. And the reason so many ETs come to Earth, and why people say, why in the world do we, why are we so special to the ETs? It's not that the earthly race is so special, as the Earth itself is a stargate. The Earth is a stargate. Inner Earth is not inner Earth. People say, oh, we've got a hollow Earth theory. What it is you've got those openings at the top and the bottom of the Earth. Those are the stargate openings. And when you go through
like a toroid.
Pardon me?
Like a toroid.
Yes.
In the film Thrive, it's illustrated in the film Thrive. Would that be a useful thing to reference?
Yes, exactly. And so that's what Admiral Byrd. Admiral Byrd. He went through it, and he thought he went into the middle of Earth.
So the Admiral Byrd story you're saying is not a fiction, it's actually...
Oh, no, that is absolutely 100% true and real. What he did was he went through the Stargate, and that's why, people, the government tries to not let anybody go up there. It's very, very sacred up there. It's very sacred down at the bottom and the top, because you can get to the Stargate, and if you go through the Stargate, you're going to find a very peaceful place. But
it isn't on the Earth, is it?
No. It's all in another universe. It's in another universe. There's not just one Tesseract. There's several. There's several different ones, and they all work and commingle together. So sometimes you may blip out of one Tesseract to another. It's all so very complicated and so very just, I can get into it so deep and so, I could take years, talking to you about
why don't we
all
just take a little minute to have a bit of a smoke break?
Absolutely.
And we'll come back after that. And you can
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Erin Hicks, and I'm connected directly through the bloodline of the Rothschild Sinclairs. And you'll have to direct me to where I was at, because I kind of forgot.
We were talking about the soul thing, the machine. You were about the hypercube thing.
What you've got to realize is people say it's ETs doing it. It's not ETs doing it. It's angels doing it. Have you ever heard of people say they see lights coming down and making them?
Yeah.
Yeah, little orbs. Those are angels doing it.
We do have circle makers who do make them physically.
Absolutely.
And they are having encounters, and that's with beings. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things I was going to show in my presentation with Matthew Williams. Mm-hmm. The two shadow beings in the formation with people walking around.
Right.
would you have any idea what those shadow entities or beings represent?
Well, not all shadows are bad.
Yeah, just because it's black doesn't make it bad.
Right. Black doesn't mean it's bad. Black just means that they're just being a little more secret so they can do their work. And they sometimes they need to cloak themselves in black so you think it's bad so they can do their work, because if they don't want anybody.
You were mentioning that we were being introduced to the dark so that we could realize the contrast between the light and the dark.
Correct.
And so we would ascend because we've forgotten how to ascend.
Right. We've totally forgotten how to ascend. The whole of humanity, and when I say humanity, that includes even every race of ET that you can imagine, because humanity is about the soul. It's not about being human. Humanity is about the soul, and we've lost the humanity of the soul, and that's what we're grasping, our light, our inner.
So what's the significance of these ETs who are visiting us?
Well,
Really,
they're just little helpers of God, or of the universe, helping us with the light, even the bad ones. It's all okay. I'll tell you what the agenda of the elite are. Before they come.
Okay, who is the elite? The Illuminati. What does that mean?
The Illuminati. Well, those are the bloodlines: the Collins, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Krocs, the Sinclairs. I mean, I could go on and on. Oh my God, they're scrambling me because they don't want me to tell you. Okay, I got it back. The significance of these ruling families is such that they have a contract on the other side of the Tesseract to come into this Tesseract and be the darkness. Now, the contract is completed, and then they could do a 180 and become exactly what they are, which is angelic beings themselves. Now that is something that's very, very, very hard for people to grasp, because people think that they're such dark beings that they're innately what people on Earth would call satanic.
Is that what this whole satanic ritual stuff involves? I mean, all these families, so many of the ruling elites, we've been shown during this conference that the United States military is fully satanic. The church is in that fully satanic.
Yeah, that satanic church is brought up to bring the darkness to us. Yeah, if you just think of it as if you step out of yourself and look at it as a component, and not as a component of the ascension of the soul, and not think of it as this evil, awful, oh my goodness, let me freak out kind of thing. You know what I'm trying to say there? The shadow people, the shadow beings.
Shadow beings.
Yes, see, the shadow beings were the first things put into this universe, and I didn't really realize it till I had a chat with somebody this weekend, and it was kind of like an epiphany, because with this universe being an ascension process for us, and an ascension learning process for us, you first have to throw the component of darkness into the universe. So that component of darkness was the shadows, not shadow people, but shadows. So the shadows were there so that when they put life into the universe, those shadows were there to cover this this life, and so that life can look through those shadows and see those pinpoints of light that were being shown in through outside the Tesseract.
So how do you have shadow unless you have light to shine?
Shadow comes first. Darkness comes first. I can't really, I can see the mathematical equation up here, but I can't say it. I don't know how to put it into words.
Okay, so describe from then on light.
Well, you had the shadows come first, and then you had this leeching kind of life that came first, which you were talking about.
Black goo.
Yeah, you had the.
To be now becoming.
Right.
In many areas.
Exactly. And the first part of the Tesseract had all of the bad put into it. All the bad had to swirl around into it so that it spread out. It had to spread out, so it covered, and I don't mean that it's a blackness over the whole universe, but it had to be speckled through it. And once it was speckled through it, then they throw in this light, and then they throw in the humans and the Greys and the reptilians and the Dracos and all of this stuff. The Dracos are the very, very most ancient. They're like the first life that was put in here besides the leeches.
In terms of physical entities?
Yes,
as opposed to the physical, semi-physical?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you're talking non-physical life first or what?
Yes. 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 Non-physical life came first, and then you've got these Dracos that came, the reptilians with the wings, you know. And they were the...
People call it mantid? Mantis?
No, not mantis. No, absolutely not. They're Dracos. And see, the Tesseract holds several universes inside of it, and it's not like they're really blocked off from each other, but there's like this invisible wall that's in between all of them. And so you've got the Dracos that were put first into one part of this Tesseract, into one part of this invisible, you know, where the walls were up invisibly. And so they feel superior now. They actually feel superior to everybody. They've got this ego that goes out of this entire cosmos.
Why do they feel?
Because they were first. They feel that they should be the ones that rule everything. They think that they're the ones that should rule everything completely, and they are very, very, very dark individuals because they love these leeches and they love this darkness, and they wallow and just they swallow it, they eat it, they totally just ingest all of this. They love it, and it's kind of sad for the creator because he didn't really create these beings to do this.
Is this what some people would call demonic entities? Or
Yeah.
a different thing altogether?
Yeah, because people don't know how to look at them and say they're just life. They're life. They look at them and they think they're demonic. And really, most demonic entities that people see are just a component of actual life, physical life. They just think it's demonic. And
So
see...
when the satanic people actually generate these things, or
They generate energy, and sometimes that energy manifests as solid beings or ethereal beings that you can see. But those are energies. So you've got the Satanic Church that is trying to inject these energies into us so that it gets so dark that you actually see light come in. You have to be shrouded in complete darkness before you can actually build yourself up to the light. That's why so many people suffer so deeply. But those are the most gifted people. They have the greatest gift when they have the most suffering, because they are shrouded in darkness. And I know that sounds awful. That sounds, to me, that breaks my heart. That this all has to be this way, because where I'm from, I know what it's like to be bathed with the light of creation, and that light of creation is the most, oh my goodness, it's the most amazing thing you could ever imagine. It is the most beautiful thing you could ever imagine, but when the Prime Creator started creating all of us, the ones on the other side of the Tesseract, he never, ever, ever, ever imagined in all of what he's done that they grow complacent. Because he always thought his love was enough. And people say love is all there is, and love is enough, and sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes you need the tragedies, and you need the killings and the murders and the wars and the suffering of this world, and so that you can break yourself so completely down and be as bare as you can, and then and only then does the light shine in the way it should. You could walk around and be light, but until you've stripped yourself of everything and all that's left of you is your soul and your Creator. When that is all that's left in this world for you, then and only then can you walk in the light of your Creator. And that is what divinity is about. Divinity is about being stripped bare and only seeing your Creator and only seeing your soul. Well, just dark matter is the darkness that the Creator injected in here. It's nothing more than that. We're trying to people are trying so hard to figure this out, and it's so darn simple. It's just the darkness. It's the way humans put it. It's the bad that was the evil that was put here. You know, it was the bad, the negativity. There we go. That's my word here. It's the negativity that was thrown in. There's nothing more about it than a mathematical equation to throw in the darkness so that we can see light. There's more darkness in the universe than there is light, but that's on purpose. Because if you had more light than you had darkness, you'd never learn again. And then there's the complacency again.
Okay, just to summarize, we're at the Super Soldier Conference. What relevance does that have to the subject in hand that we're just discussing?
Well,
and
all of us
therefore, why are you here?
I'm here to spread the light. I'm here to have people understand that they have to honor their darkness, and they have to honor every facet of themselves, and that includes every bad thing about themselves. Because if you don't face every little thing that you have about yourself, every single aspect of your soul, and that doesn't mean that you just, okay, I don't really want to look at that part because it makes me uncomfortable, so I'm going to skip over it. And let's just work on this, and we'll just like pretend this part isn't here. You know what I'm saying? Let's pretend this isn't here so that we don't have to work on it. But people need to stop doing that. And I want people to start working on every single part of their souls. And when you work on every single part of your soul, you're also of service to others, because you're bringing the light. You have to bring the light. And I want to show everyone how to bring the light in. There's a little thing that I wrote in January about how I could read it to you or show it to you sometime. That I finally realized it's just all about the souls, and you got to stop giving permission to everybody. You got to stop giving permission to everybody to use your soul. Your soul is yours and yours alone. You came into it owning your soul. You go out of it owning your soul. Now the in-between, keep it. Just keep it. Don't let anybody take it. No matter what happens to you. Like with me, I have had so much torture. I was raped at 4 by by government officials in the Pentagon. I've had so much. I've watched missing children be ripped, their limbs ripped off of them, and to make me be quiet. I've seen the worst of the worst of the worst in this world. And it's absolutely, amazingly just nauseating. But I've learned that out of that, I need to say, I've got to keep my soul about it. I cannot let them take my soul. Once I allow them to control me over it, which is what happened to me for the first 40-some years of my life, I allowed them to cast the shadow over my soul, so therefore they owned my soul. I had to realize that all of the things that I saw and all of the things that I've been through have to grow me. They have to, like watching these children get ripped apart, I have to say to myself, okay, that was really bad and that really affected me, but there's got to be some light within it somehow. You know, and I know it's hard to say a child getting ripped apart, there's light in it. Yeah.
They chose it.
Yeah, they chose it. It's a contract. And as sad as it is, and I'm going to have naysayers or people who don't want to believe this. Nobody wants to think that they made a contract for suffering. Nobody wants to think that. But it's like signing on the dotted line before you walk into here. Okay, my soul needs to learn this lesson, so I've got to be killed for it. And my killing has got to be horrific. And it's got to be so horrific that when I go out of this world, I'm full of nothing but fear. And then when you're full of nothing but fear, and then you see that light in the end of the tunnel as you're going through and going back to your source, that makes your soul full. That's the contract. You're fulfilling your contract. You got what you needed out of it. Now say you come into the world maybe the next time and you have nothing but a beautiful existence. So you bring into this lifetime all of the pain that you had before subconsciously. You may not remember it, but you've had that suffering. So now your suffering now becomes a light, because you're teaching the lessons of your past life, of that suffering, to other people, so they don't have to go through it. If you can be an example for others, then others don't have to make the same choices. They don't have to die and come back on a contract of pain and suffering. If they've seen your pain and suffering, that's your mistake. That's your life lesson. Let people see your life lesson so they don't have to come back and repeat your stuff. That's yours. Own it. It's your life. It's your soul that's taken these lessons. Show it to the world so their soul can pick up a different lesson.
Okay, one last final passing comment. Anything you've got
What
in
would
terms
you
of references or places for people to look or research or?
The only thing I can tell anybody is to meditate. You're not going to get any information from anything other than your own soul. That is it. You can listen to everybody talk. You can listen to me talk and my experiences, and it'll enrich you and it'll bring some light to you. But ultimately, you need to sit there and go within. It's transcendence. You must transcend. All of this is about transcendence. It's about going within. You go within, and then when you die, then you can go without. And I don't mean without things. I mean you put out the light. So you push out the light. Does it make sense? Does that?
But you're one with the universe.
Pardon me?
So you're one with the
Yes,
universe.
and if you're,
Really are.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome.
Happy days to the second Super Soldier Summit.
I'm Miesha Johnston, and I'm here at the Super Soldier Summit 2013, and I am a Starseed experiencer, facilitator. I have 10 groups a month that I facilitate for people who are experiencers. I've done this since 1992 on and off, and my mission in life is my experiencer group. And I'm here at the Super Soldier Summit, May 2013, and I did what my mission is. At the summit, I had 2 support groups each morning for people in the audience and their experiences so they could share. And then I facilitated a couple of panels, one for super soldiers and the other one for MK Ultra and me labs. And then I shared a little about myself. So my mission is my support groups, and as a lifelong experiencer, 5 different types of ETs that I've had contact with, as well as me lab experiencer, and was born into an MK Ultra family. So should I go on with that?
Yeah.
All right.
Now, exactly what are those terms? We're at Super Soldier Conference. What does that mean relative to what? And also targeted individuals.
Okay, that the TIs, targeted individuals. Well, my targeting has subsided, and since 2001, which was facilitated by a group of ETs who helped me get the hell out of it. Yeah. So thank God for that, and it helped me to go ahead and live my life a little more normal.
So can you go into the detail of the kind of experiences you were having, and then how you were saved or rescued, or
okay,
and what were the types of ETs?
Well, from Las Vegas, where I was living, I had my experiencer group. I moved to California, and throughout Las Vegas and California, I was having me lab experiences. I was being taken a lot by the military and handed over to reptilians, or I was taken by the Greys and handed over to the military, by Greys and handed over to the reptilians. Sometimes right after an experience with one positive experience, a service to other kind of ET group, then I'd have a group that took me down underground bases, and my sons as well. I've seen my sons.
What age was your son? Because in England we've had a similar abductee whose son was taken.
Okay,
we've had abductees whose son was taken, but she didn't release that information until her son became an adult.
That's right. He's 36
because
years
the
old
health
now.
services would remove.
He's 36 years old now, and I was not going to talk about this until he's an adult. Yes. As a particular experience, I was in a underground base. We were going down in an elevator, and all I could hear is other people kind of moaning and groaning. I couldn't see anything on my side because I could only look straight ahead, very groggy. The doors opened like this, and then out, they shuffled us all out, and there were military. There wasn't a fellow with an M16 standing in the corner of the elevator. Then they shuffled us out, and I was taken off with the military, and at that moment I saw my son being taken off with the tall Greys the other way. So I knew that the fact that they are in the same level that my son had experienced, plus I talked to him, and he's shared a few of his military abductions.
But what about these tall Greys, different Greys? Can you explain who they are?
It's a hard one, because there's a willowy tall Grey that was with me my entire life, and he was a very positive force in my life. And in fact, he protected me, or I should say, he consoled me after my MK Ultra experiences with my father. I mean, trauma-based.
Your father was connected to a dark church of some kind.
Should I say the name? Okay, well, there's different sects of them that are positive, I'm sure, but it was a very dark sect of the Rosicrucians. And he was a magician, and I'm come to believe that he was pretty much a black musician.
What does that
magician.
mean? Exactly.
Well, my father did a lot of conjuring. In fact, I know he did conjuring because he went on the road with my brothers and sisters in this magic act. And first of all, this is an actual photo, right? This is my sister, and then
so that ghost, in many respects, looks like a bit like an ET.
It does look like an ET. My family have been experiencers.
What era is this?
This would have been, I was born in 49. This would have been about 1953, right around there. And he was, this is him again. He was MK Ultra. I did know about severe, horrifying things he went through as a child, and I just thought it was child abuse, But my father continued, unfortunately, on with it. And by the time I was born, I was number 9. There was one to be born after me that my mother was pregnant with. And by the time I was born, 4 of the siblings had all died of odd things, and they never lived past 2 or 3. My parents had one picture of each one of them, and no picture of another one. My father did finally subsequently tell me, pretty much on his deathbed, that he had to participate in the MK Ultra because it had been going on in his lifetime. I guess it's a bloodline thing. I don't know. I know there's German, French, and Indian in there, but there's another part of it that's
you're
hidden.
Talking about Native American Indian.
It would have to be. It was when my great-grandfather came across the Mormon trail. He left the Mormons and went in with the Indians because he hated the Mormon church. And so lost my track a little bit. So
it was to track with the various races, the Native Americans.
Oh, right. Well, my mother's side, I have a French crooked count on my mother's side. Count Baron. And then my father's side had the Nazi influence as well as the Native American. So that's the only thing I can figure. My father had, from the very beginning, you know, he was extremely abusive to the kids.
Now, what kind of abuse are we talking about here?
We're talking about beating them until they succumbed.
Succumb to what?
They never told me. All they'd say is he'd take them down in the basement and he would beat them, and you know, until my brother was, you know, almost bloody. She said these two people, and she said she would always give up, but he would never give up. I don't know. She's gone to her grave without telling me.
Is this you in the picture here?
No, that's not. That's my other sister. I'm not in this picture because I was too young. I was home with my mother at the time, so I was like 2 years old, and I had another brother who was 4 years old. But my father used to take the kids out on the summers and sometimes even through the school year to be in the magic show, and they were gone for months, and I don't know whatever happened. I just know that both my brother and my sister who participated in it hated his guts.